Hi everyone, so today I'm going to show you how to take this shot here using any Olympus camera that has live composite, a flash, and your 14-42 kit lens. Now in my last live stream, someone had asked me what kind of fun projects can we do at home, and one of the things I recommended was, practice using a flash, try different lighting techniques, see how the shadows fall and different angles, etc. And I gave that some more thought since then, and I says, this might be kind of a fun project for me to do some product photography shots. So I decided to do a studio shot on the Olympus EM5 Mark III, and really there's several different kinds of shots that I saw on their website and on Amazon. And if you look on Amazon, those are your typical studio shots. They're very technical, just different angles of the product, so you can kind of get a feel for everything that's on the camera. And then when you go to their website, they have, the technical shots as well as some, I guess you would call them lifestyle type shots where you see the photographer out shooting, and they're projecting their message that, you want to travel light and take this camera everywhere. And then there's also some of the beauty shots, right? The very close up, so you can see the fine details of the camera. And the kind of shot that I wanted to go for was a little bit different and what Olympus kind of means to me. And I thought I could do that by really sharing, when I look at the Olympus OMD line, there's a legacy, right? There's a throwback to the original OM cameras. So I got out my Olympus OM2S and I said, I want to include this camera in the shot so that we see this lineage from the original film cameras that kind of inspired the designs of the new OMD cameras. And I took a couple shots like that, but it really wasn't enough to convey the kind of message, because that in of itself was not enough, because it's pretty obvious that there is a lineage here or legacy with the OM cameras. So the other message I wanted to convey was that I use this camera to take photos of my adventures, right, of when I go out. So I went into my photo album and I dug out a few images of me back in the day, some places I went, and said, okay, this will look good together, because ultimately these cameras are about taking pictures. There's too many product shots or messages about the technical capabilities of the camera, and those are all wonderful and nice, but to me it's really ultimately still about taking pictures and capturing those moments in your life. So that's why I wanted to include these photos that I've taken. And I said, okay, I'm going to mix these in and spread these around, but I wanted to find a photo that would sort of match in color the overall scene. So obviously these black cameras, don't have any color, but this table, is sort of a nice rich, wood color or walnut. So I wanted to offset that with some sort of blue or teal. So you get sort of that typical cinematic combination of blue and teal, or blue and orange, because there's a lot of orange in this table as well. So I found this one that has a nice blue sky, and I thought that would contrast the table very nicely so that the pictures do stand out, but they're going to be composed in a way that they don't overpower or become the subject of the image, of the photo itself. So I'm going to just kind of place these around, and I want just people to just barely be able to see the different aspects, so they can tell that, yeah, these are photos of, some things I've been doing and some places I've gone to, without really letting it overpower the image itself. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to place these down sort of here, and I think that's what's going to work. Now for composing the cameras themselves, what I was thinking was, of course, I want the EM5 Mark III to be front and center, and then the OM2S to sort of be a little bit off in the background, but still present. And I angled them in a way that, I can still kind of capture the sort of the nice form of the grip here, and all of the buttons on the top, and the same thing over here, sort of the grip and the texture in the leather, and all of the buttons. And then I tried to put kind of similar lenses on them. This is the 50mm f1.8, and this is the 45mm f1.8. And again, I positioned the pictures in a way that I thought would sort of just be in the shot, but not overpowering the shot. Just a reminder of that's ultimately what these cameras are about, is taking photos of your memories. Now that I have the composition that I want and the message that I want to give, let's talk about some of the things you'll need again. You'll just need an Olympus camera that has live composite. So today I'll be using the EM5 Mark II with the 14-42 kit lens. And then you'll just need any flash that has full manual control, where you can adjust the output power and fire it, from the flash itself without having to be on camera. And then also, if you guys have been following my channel, I use these little can coolers as snoots for my flash. And this will allow me to focus the light just on certain parts of the composition here, and just control the overall look that I want in general. And you want to be in a dark room if you can. If you can shoot this at night so you're not getting any ambient light from the windows, that would be best. But if you want to practice during the day, you may need to get an ND filter of some kind. I use these K&F variable ND filters. I really like these. And of course, I'll have links in the bottom, for this exact one. This one is really good, and it's not too expensive, but this will help you darken the room in a room that has maybe too much ambient light. All right, so I've done a full factory reset on the camera so we can all be on the same page. And I'll be shooting with the EM5 Mark II with the 14-42 kit lens. And then I have my Godox TT350, but any manual flash will do, that you can control the power. And really any Olympus camera with live composite will work just fine. And also, again, I have my snoot, which is just a can cooler that I've cut out the bottom. And I'm going to put this onto the flash, and this will help narrow the beam of light so I only illuminate the areas that I want to illuminate into the scene. Okay, so let's just go into the super control panel. And first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select the ISO low, which is going to give me the darkest image, because I really want to start with a black frame in live composite, or a blank slate in other words, and you'll see in just a moment. And for white balance, I'm going to choose flash. There. Because the only light in the scene is going to be coming from the flash, so that's what I'm going to set the white balance to. And then I'll set the focus to single point. We'll leave this in mechanical shutter. We'll change this to large fine plus raw, just for demo purposes. Turn off the image stabilization. Metering doesn't matter, single point is good. And I'm going to choose the vintage art filter because I kind of like the look of that. It's still kind of modern, but then I think it'll give me kind of the mood that I want for this scene. All right, good. And then we'll turn off face detect because we don't need that. Now let's go into live composite mode. And on the EM5 Mark II, you just go into manual mode, and most Olympus cameras. Some cameras, I think the EM1 Mark III and the EM1X, they have a bulb mode. The EM5 Mark III, so you would do it from B on your mode dial. But on most other Olympus cameras, you go into manual and you just rotate the shutter speed until you get to live comp. Now, I also want a pretty wide depth of field, so I'm going to increase my aperture to f16, like so. And now I'm looking at the EV meter, and the EV meter is telling me I'm at -3, but because it's blinking, I know I'm past -3 EV, or I'm more than 3 stops underexposed. But again, I want to have a completely black picture, so let's just do a test shot and see what we get. So with live composite, usually there's that initial shot, and then we take the second one to start the live composite. And I can see already, I can still see the table, both cameras, all the pictures, so it's not a completely black frame. So let me check the shutter speed on live composite. So I just click onto the menu button and the composite settings come up, and I'm at 1 second, but let's see what the fastest shutter speed we have available to us. Looks like only a half a second. I don't think one more stop's going to do it, but let's try. Yeah, nowhere near enough. So this is a case where there's still too much ambient light coming into the room. So I'm going to put my ND filter on. And again, it's usually best to do this kind of thing at night, but if you want to do this in the daytime, you can. You just need an ND filter. All right, let's try another one. And I have the ND filter to about half. It's a variable ND filter. I'll put a link down below to this one. It's a really good one. All right, that's pretty black. I think I'll just dial in just a little more. Let's try that. Yeah, perfect. There's still a little bleed from the window, but it's not bad. Good enough for this. Now, one last thing I'm going to do is, I like my images to be very contrasty, so I'm going to adjust the highlights and shadows. So I'm going to go -6 here on the shadows and just add maybe 3 or so on the highlights. It's all very subjective. We'll see how the image comes out. And let's get started. And I'm going to move my focus point onto the Olympus logo, because I definitely want that in focus. All right, so I'm going to start about halfway at, let's start at 1/32 power. And then I'm going to put this about 3 feet away and pop it from here and see how the image looks. Okay, that did almost nothing. I need at least 2 more stops. So I'm going to go to 1/8 power. Let's try that. All right, that's good. I mean, it's still dark, but now all I have to do is, if I want to add a little bit of light, I can pop the flash from here. But if I want to add more light, all I have to do is bring the flash in a little closer, but not so close that it gets into the frame. So be careful of that. But I'm going to move in about halfway, effectively doubling the flash output. Perfect. And now let me illuminate the left side of the camera, because I want the grain and the grip to show right near where the lens release button is. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Now let me get the buttons on the top. Maybe a little more. I'd like the prism to show a little more. So let me get a little bit closer. That's looking pretty good. Now let me add some light to the grip itself, because I'd like to see that as well. Good. Oh, I need to angle it a little bit higher. Fortunately, I didn't overexpose the pictures on the table. That's because that's about the brightness I want them, I think. So I'm going to just aim the flash a little bit higher. I think what I need to do is just get a little bit closer without getting into the frame. There. That's good. Now I'm going to do one shot front and center. That way the lens will shine. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Want just a little bit more light though. Maybe a little more on the top. and the sides. So I'm going to play around a bit. There, that's looking pretty good. I want a little more on the handle. Good, and the prism, that looks good. Just a tiny bit more on the handle though. All right, perfect. Now I'm gonna start working on the second camera. So I'm going to start at a pretty high distance, or 3 meters, or you know, about 1 meter or 3 feet, and illuminate the camera in the background. And that's, maybe I can go a little brighter, so I'm just going to move the flash in just a tiny bit. There we go. Now let me get some from this side, and a little bit from this side. All right, I kind of like how that looks. I want a little bit more on the top though. Yeah, one more pop from a different angle maybe. Good. Now, I'm going to illuminate the table a little bit more in the front and a little bit more in the back. And I want that light to be kind of spread out, so I'm going to take the snoot off. I'm going to start from up high. Okay, good. A little bit closer. And I'm just moving just inches or centimeters. A little bit more in front of the camera. A little closer. A little closer. A little closer. Good. And let me get some in the back. A little bit more. A little more in the back. Ah, yeah. Just a tiny bit more on the pictures in the front. Yeah, there we go. Let me angle it. We're getting there. All right, I like that. Let's send it there. That looks really good. So as you can see, it takes a little bit of practice. I mean, I practiced for about an hour last night before making this video. But as long as you get a feel for the power output of your flash and, you know, aiming with a snoot and then getting a black frame either through working at night or just putting an ND filter on, I think this is something you can do at home and have a lot of fun with. And, you know, be sure to share your images with me. Either tag me on Instagram or Flickr or whatever. Just let me know. I'd love to see them. And, you know, if you'd like to see more tutorials, be sure to subscribe, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.